Ghana media for nyina omu Messi, omu Ronaldo, and Kevin Taylor. That man is a powerful man in this planet. Ghana politics, ebejina, ebegu, ebetonsiuma, kini kuta Kevin Taylor. After the mighty de Diampa. Kevin Taylor, to a baby, Kevin Taylor, I say, you are being NPP party, what does Obukuno? NPP for MPP at Tacoma Kevin Taylor. Say, Bonibia, a idea, or Panche, NPP for.
The reason why the NPP looked relevant or considered to be relevant for all these years was because the NDC as a political party failed to devise a strategy to kill fake news or to stop Jandam. And I say, NDC as a political party, they failed to understand, say, Asema Obika Eyatro, you need to quickly react to it. Now, when the NPP started denigrating, discrediting, lying, and forming a alliance with other people to lie about everything, about Ghana politics, the NDC, on the other hand, they thought to say NPP for Chatronadru point to be we as a people will come to that realization, say it's a party that lies. It's a party that was built out of lies. So the mistake the NDC made, and I'm not going to restrict this to only the NDC, the mistake the other democratic parties made, and also a contesting in our elections made, was that they underestimated NPP atro. The NPP was built out of lies. The leadership of the NPP had only one agenda, and that agenda was to lie. And I said, "Omubechatro, amanato Ghana phobi trim, titru akamfo, and most importantly, asantifo trim, for them to have a certain perception or a certain kind of posture towards NDC and any political party that basically align themselves with the ideologies of J.J. Rawlings NDC. In this study from 1992, the NDC built different kinds of a message. And the message was basically to make Ghanaians believe, say, any person who is associated with the NDC or any party that is not linked to the NPP automatically is the enemy of some group of people in Ghana. In this our study of politics now, the NPP started becoming irrelevant. Abra social media basically took over politics around the world, and that is from 2020, or let's say before that's 2017 thereabouts. When social media took over politics, when conversations were moved from traditional radio, print, when conversations were moved from marketplaces, church, pulpits, when conversations were moved from the streets onto social media where everybody could access, the NPP started becoming irrelevant in our political settings. Now, they became irrelevant because now people had access to information, and people also have the same access to verify the information. So the message of the NPP became difficult to sync. They now started to struggle. Now, they still believed that when they still believed, say almost take it to the old 442 formation, the old format of inciting people against a group of people who belong to a political party, or creating the impression that a political party that isn't NPP is against the people who support NPP. They were going to have their way. Now, the mistake the NDC and we Ghanaians made from 1992 all the way to 2012, let's say 2012, was that we had allowed NPP and any surrogates, any omomtiti radio, TV, so to get away with a lot of lies. So when lies are told consistently or continuously, they somehow start to look like the truth. It's at a point, Ghanaians believed in things that they believed in things that did not exist. And they said, Obie creative bibia to Tim say, with all due respect, we see baby amount. Na sa baby ne de a hono your last point into obra obono hana, it does not matter. Se unye Kristoni ana unye Muslimi ana unye Jiwni ana won sombosom na se bi kura obi sombosom a se wo ye Kristoni na bosomsom ni approach you na ka chaw se eye bosom na osom no o effective bosom na aboa no manetumi sidan bosom na aboa no manetumi ne mbako school bosom na aboa no amanetumi ayi nyoma bi. And I'm not speaking against obi osom bosom. It applies to other religion. Ebi a wo ye Muslimi Kristoni betumi abeka chaw se on pesa wo ye Kristoni because Christosom no aboa no mana ye say ebi a Muslim ni betuma approach obi a osombosom aka chen say eye nkremosom no aboa no amana ye say wenya we. Now the first time the person approaches you, you actually come out and tell the person say oboa mesom na metim ne ye. But when that person continuously consistently push that agenda in your head, say ne som no eye chen wo som no, it gets to a point you start to question wo som. For all you know, there are so many things in that osoma obwa, but he just wants you to come join him. Into consistently say ostatika to with him say nesumne ye chen wasumna. Esumna womno, dia wunya wasa osumni kura, you will not value it. You will think say it is not enough. So you will still feel say that person nesumno better than wasumno, and that is Adia NPP yeah from 1992. And from 1992, the NPP, the NDC all came out to campaign. But for some reason, the NPP for messaging now was that NDC for you to travel. Omo free soja buying when the buy into obi obe join NDC biano sebio of for soja buying into a so. Now remember, NPP as a political party, all the coups are a see Ghana and Sana JJ Rawlings ebe coup 1979 and 1982 or 83 no. Now all the coups now ya no Ghana no. The NPP that has changed its name to become NPP today no. They were involved in every single coup that had happened in this country. About 6 coups, the NPP were in there. But for some reason, 1992, yaba democracy muno. All that the NPP preached was that PNDC, NDC, to join NDC, to train. They did not talk about JB Dankwa's involvement in the previous coup. See how Dankwa Busia Dombomo were part, they masterminded the killing of Nkrumah, how they made sure Kotokamo, any a free farmer, any Omokana Omuye Soja for Muye. They don't talk about that because they wanted you to believe something that did not exist. Into from 1992, majority of Ghanaians did not even understand why NDC war, because they created that impression, and it was a consistent doctrine. It was a persistent doctrine. It was a doctrine that was done not just on the street. It was also infused into our education. Because who will be to say he was the man behind the social studies books. So all the books that we read, time and year what JHS, primary, do this time, no, social studies, no, all the history, we thought people wrote to make sure, say, our past is being recorded and archived, no. Edubwa Hinana or a founding member of the NPP, no, they made sure, say, when they write or they were writing about Ghana's history when it came to politics, no, they made sure, say, everything was centered on the actions of the PNDC era. They did not put a lot of emphasis on Efrifa, on Kotoka, on the other coups that happened before JJ Rawlings. Because when they emphasize on those coups, what will happen? And they say, now the young people will start to understand, they say, the PNDC JJ Rawlings era, no, it wasn't bad because, say, the 1979 coup and the 1982-83 coup now, that was the coup that brought us to independence. But the coups that were orchestrated and sponsored by the NPP UP, and the Omo Jankwabuzia group now, those coups na see it did not pave way for Kebi Mami Kebi in Ghana. That is why Edubwa Hindem's moved away or never emphasized on the previous schools but emphasized on the 1979 coup, 1983 coup, because they wanted the young people coming up. That's the indoctrination. They wanted the young people like us coming up, to believe, say, the NDCP, the PNDC, NDC, or JJ Rawlings PNDC were evil, and that anybody who tries to entertain the history of PNDC, not JJ Rawlings, that person or your mambo for. A certain generation never associated themselves with the NDC, because the moment you do that, you are seen as somebody who supports crime. And it's like when you went into our various universities, our tertiary institutions, you saw few people being part of NDC youth groups. They were scared to be part of it because we had already been brainwashed in our primary schools and our senior high schools before entering our tertiary institutions. So the moment you try to join such a group, you yourself started feeling guilty because some people will see you say, now we're joining NDC. And that was how the Jandam started. That was how the brainwash started. And that is how the NPP became relevant from 1992 to 2024.